Let's take you to one of our top stories that we're tracking for you this afternoon. The second leg of the ANC Northwest Conference is wrapping up this afternoon. The party's Treasurer General Paul Mashatile is set to make closing remarks. Let's take you live and listen in.
Or not to repeat what other leaders have said before you. So I'm trying to be very careful not to repeat those. Now, comrades, one of the political activists, Chomsky, has this to say. And I will be very slow because I want all of you to listen. And it was about optimism. Optimism is a strategy for making a better future. Future can be better if we take responsibility for making it so. If you assume that there is no hope, then you are guaranteed that there will be no hope. If you assume that there is an instinct for freedom, there are opportunities for things to change. There is therefore a chance you may contribute to making a better world. It is your choice, and I close quote. In this context, comrades, the outcome of this provincial conference must inspire optimism and confidence to create a better future for this province. The outcome of this conference must guarantee hope and faith in the structures of the African National Congress, in the ANC-led government, and in communities of our beautiful province, the Northwest. We must be optimistic, all of us comrades, that ill-discipline, factionalism, corruption, infighting, disruptions, gangsterism, lies, hatred, greed, selfishness, political jealousy, discussing internal organizational matters in public platforms, and other malfeasance will be buried after this conference. I must indicate, comrades, that this was the longest provincial conference ever. It took over 6 days, and we had 2 sessions. This was the longest. After Gauteng, of course, Gauteng did set some example and so on, but in the Northwest, this is the longest conference ever. Now, comrades, I have therefore decided not to present the full text of my inaugural speech today, but an executive summary. And I hope as I present this executive summary, you will be able to follow. Because this executive summary will come in a form of a program of what is it that we must go and do after this conference. I did indicate to all of you previously that time for rhetoric is over, time for endless talks is over, it is now time for action. Less talk, more work. So let us begin. And as we begin, I hope all of you, you will note what I'm going to say. I hope you have pens and papers to write, because I want, when you go out of this conference, you must go back to your branches and give a report back, because you were delegated by your branches, so you must report to your branches. And I hope I did set a good example. After the first session, or the first leg of this conference, I went back to my branch, met with the branch executive committee and informed them what transpired in the first leg. So you must all do the same. You were sent by your branch, you are not representing yourself. Now let us repeat quickly, comrades, and talk a little bit about the state of our organization, the African National Congress. Now we all know, and we must all acknowledge, that our branches are led by individuals who are not supposed to be leading the ANC. Or let's say some of our branches, not all. Some of these individuals, they are clueless, they don't understand the African National Congress, but they are leaders of the ANC. They don't even call branch executive committee meetings of the ANC. They don't call branch general meetings of the ANC. The only thing they do is to go to government offices and say, I'm a chairperson of the branch, I want this tender and that tender. That is some of the comrades who are leading this organization called the African National Congress. I said previously that meetings of the African National Congress more often than not don't correct because they are disrupted by disruptive elements within this organization. What is disturbing, comrades, is that non-members of the ANC are still appearing on the membership list and the attendance registers of the African National Congress. Now, I want to share this privileged information with all of you. Before this conference, I was a member of the Provincial Dispute Resolutions Committee. Now, some of the people who disputed branch general meetings of the ANC are people who stood for elections against the African National Congress just 8 months ago. They contested against the ANC. They lost, the ANC won. Some of them did not even attend BBGMs of the ANC, but they lodged disputes. Some of them were even brave to tell us in the PDRC that no, indeed, I was working for the opposition, I was a candidate and so on, but I'm a member of the ANC. Some of these members are active participants in other political parties. They attend a meeting of the Patriotic Alliance or whatever you call that party. They attend a meeting of this other party. They also come to meetings of the ANC, particularly in BGMs and BBGMs. And at times they even disrupt the meetings of the ANC wearing T-shirts of the African National Congress. Like I said earlier on, some of our branches are not active branches of the ANC, they are dysfunctional. There is lack of policy and mature debates amongst and between cadres of the movement at branch level. There is high level of ill-discipline. Comrades do as they wish. They disregard the constitution and the code of conduct of the ANC. There is lack of political education, and I don't want to quote the former secretaries of the African National Congress, Comrade Kgalema Motlanthe and Comrade Gwede Mantashe, what they said about us. You all know. I don't want to repeat what they said. Now, what needs to be done? This is what I want you to note, comrades. All members of the ANC, old and new, must be taken through an intensive political education program. Now, Comrade Secretary, you'll have to interact with Comrade Masondo. and the education, political education subcommittee at the national level, that we must start with this PEC. This is where we must start. Because we must never assume that because a person is elected as a provincial chairperson or a member of the PEC, he understands the ANC and its policies. So this is where we must start. And hopefully, time permitting, that induction workshop must happen this coming weekend. So the secretary will interact with those responsible and ensure that we start here, before we come to branches, before we come to regions and so on. And that exercise must focus on simple things. It must never be complicated. No two-stage theory, what. Start with simple things. The history of the African National Congress. That's where we must start. Secondly, simple things. Roles and responsibilities of the structures and its members individually. Thirdly, policies and principles of the African National Congress. We must start with simple.
All right, those are live visuals there from the Northwest, where newly elected Chair Nonomaloyi has lamented the state of the party in the province. He has spoken of clueless leaders, saying some branch chairs only know to government departments, demanding tenders. Very concerning. We'll take you back to that closing address. But first, let's